Ladies and gentlemen, the show starts in 3, 2, 1. Tonight on the DDM Comics radio program. The latest news from the comic book industry, pull list reviews, and our picks from the long box. Don't forget our main feature. It is sure to have you huddle around your radio set all night. Stay tuned.
We are the future, Charles, not them. They no longer matter.
I'm sorry, this is the fun week. The humdrum is back there. Please, no gang signs. No, throw it up, I'm kidding.
Told you that. Look, kid. You and I are gonna be good friends.
Just don't know it yet.
You just don't know it yet.
Man, I just love our intro. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's the best.
Welcome, comic book fans, to episode 8 of the DDM Comics radio program. I'm your host, Danny, from Northern California, and with me is my co-host in crime, all the way from a deep, undisclosed location in Mega City 1, avoiding arrest from judges, Mr. D. Mr. D, how's it hanging on this Labor Day? It's Labor Day. Yeah, Labor Day.
It's Labor Day.
Nice.
It's awesome, winding down from a pretty fun / productive weekend. Looking forward to a 4-day work week ahead before we have another weekend. How about you?
That's going to be awesome. I'm also looking forward to the 4 days. It's going to be sweet. I have a fishing trip on Friday.
Nice.
So I guess it's like 3 days.
What are you going to be fishing for?
Oh, God, I don't even know what's in that. It's like this small little lake in a town next to us. Probably boots and sticks.
Nice. Hopefully no bodies.
It's the kind of town where you might actually find some bodies.
Well,
but you never know.
Good luck.
Got my coffee ready here, and you don't drink coffee, right?
I don't. Well, I don't drink coffee regularly, and I definitely do not drink hot coffee.
So, what happens, like, if it's during the day and you're just like dog shit tired? Like, what's your pick me up?
Mountain Dew.
Nice.
But not like a lot of Mountain Dew. Like, I don't have Mountain Dew at home. Like, I'll have a Mountain Dew at work, just to be clear.
I used to drink the shit out of Code Red back in college.
Yeah, I still like Code Red, but actually my favorite is Baja Blast.
Oh, that's like the shit they have at Taco Bell.
Yeah, well, it's also in bottles now.
Oh, wow.
Because I never go to Taco Bell.
Well, awesome. Are you drinking anything right now?
Crystal Light.
Nice. So this is a show about beverages and comic books. And today we are going to talk about some news and a couple books that are awesome. And the main topic this week is about buying comics online. What that experience is like and what the experiences we have had is like. I know it's kind of I found it to be almost intimidating to try to buy comics online if you've never done it before. Because you just don't know. Are they going to arrive shit-tastical or what?
I think that's ultimately the dilemma. You roll the dice every single time you order comics online.
Yeah.
Unless you have a reputable source, which we're going to talk about today.
Right.
Where you can trust that every single time your comics arrive, they're going to be in just as good of condition as they were the last time and the time before that and the time before that.
Right. And that's important.
Definitely.
So we'll talk about that more later. We'll bounce into the modern age of comic books and wrap up all the ages of comic books finally.
Hooray!
And then some pulls from the long box. And then we're giving away a copy of the Killing Joke Noir edition.
Ooh.
And that's all. That was enthusiastic.
Tell us all about the Killing Joke Noir edition, Danny.
It's the Killing Joke without all the color.
Nice.
Because that's cool.
That's cool.
But it actually is kind of cool. I don't have a copy right now, but
I don't either.
I think it would. I don't know if it would take away from the experience. I mean, some people just like that sort of thing.
Sometimes it adds to the experience.
Kind of, because you get to like your imagination isn't as directed. You can just fill in your own stuff.
Very true.
We'll talk about the giveaway more later. and then we'll wrap it up. So there's not much news, but we'll play the thing anyway.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Now it is time for the news. Brought to you by...
That dog from Roll Your Beautiful Bean footage, that reminded me of those old school, those ranch bean commercials with the cowboys or whatever. No, that's like paste salsa.
Or it'd be like, this stuff's made in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
New York City. They'd be like, get a rope. Yeah, dude, I totally remember those.
That was for salsa, right?
Yeah, that was totally salsa.
Oh, okay, yeah. No.
I don't know why. I remember that because that was always on TV.
Dude, like always. And you're just like, they're just always like, it's like nighttime and they're always like sitting around a campfire.
Totally. And like they're all having something to eat and he opens a salsa.
It's like fucking wagon with like a cast iron pot over a fire of beans.
Mm-hmm.
That's who the news is brought to you by today. A cast iron pot of beans. And the only thing that's really been going on at all comic book newsworthy that's even scrolled by the feed was like last week Ben Affleck did a tweet with some test footage of Deathstroke.
Right, which...
And it's like, okay.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
Otherwise, it's been kind of quiet.
Yeah. I wonder why that is. Does everybody just shit it out from the summer movies, or...
Maybe, yeah.
And now that Rebirth is like totally like going.
It is. It's full speed. Something noteworthy though, news. Next weekend is Rose City Comicon in Portland, which anybody who lives on the West Coast knows that that's a significant convention. It's not.
Did you?
Huh?
Go ahead.
It's not Emerald City Comic-Con size or even San Diego Comic-Con size, but it's a big con, and they've got some pretty cool guests that are going to be there. Mike Mignola will be there. So will Eric Powell. Also, from the celebrity side, John Cusack and his sister Joan will be there, as well as some other celebrities.
That's so fucking random. Why would he go?
I don't know. Dude. It's weird. But
dude,
we're going next weekend. So
you're gonna go. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Eric Powell to sign my Goon #1 and number 2.
Dude, that shit's gonna be worth like bank.
And then I don't know. Mike Mignola, I'll get him to sign something, but hopefully get the wife something signed by him because she really likes Hellboy. Not so much the comic, but she likes the movies.
That's cool. My little town had a con last weekend. It's like their third one, and they're trying to make it bigger. It's at like the fucking Elks Lodge here.
Did you go?
No, I didn't go.
Oh, you should have.
I should have, but we just had a bunch of shit going on.
Well, the reason I say that, sorry, don't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
When I lived in San Jose, this little con started called SuperCon, and it was a little comic convention in a little tent in the back of like the convention center.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like a giant, I think it's called like the Silicon Valley Comic Con or something, and it's like significantly bigger now. It's kind of cool just to go to those shows when they're small and see what they grow into.
You know, I think you're right. And the North State here has like, aside from like Sacramento, like from Sacramento to probably Portland, right? There's nothing in between that's like big for comics.
No, there's dick. For any sort of fandom or any pop culture, there's nothing between Sac and Portland.
Right. Cool. So
yeah, anyway.
Well, that will be fun.
Yeah.
I've never been to a big show like that, so I wouldn't even know what to do.
Well, Emerald City Comic Con.
So what do you do? Do you just get a badge and then just roam around?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I like to go to panels.
Oh, right.
I like to go meet people and shake hands and say hello and talk about things.
What about pictures with like cosplayers? Do you do that?
I don't actually. I've never taken a picture with a single cosplayer in my life.
Wow.
But I think cosplayers are cool. I got nothing against them. It's just not my thing to ask people, can I take a picture with you? So I admire them from afar. I don't take pictures of them. I just
It seems like people dress up as like the random stuff, right? You're like, oh wow, that's like Raiden from Mortal Kombat. And you're like, what the fuck is he even doing here?
Yeah, but it's cool because people pour like honestly their hearts and souls into those costumes, and I think it's pretty awesome. It's not my thing. If I was ever going to cosplay, I would do a Ghostbuster or a Judge. That's it.
Judge would be cool.
Yeah, my buddy has a full Judge cosplay that's fucking sick. My other buddy also has a Ghostbusters cosplay, and his proton pack is 1-for-1 scale that he built by hand. Has all the sounds.
Wow.
It's fucking. He said he spent when everything's been said and done, like close to $5,000 building it.
Wow, really? That's crazy.
That's fucking nuts, right?
But I mean, that's like something that will like blow people's minds and give them memories.
Yeah,
so
it's
kind of cool.
And he because of that, he got invited to go to the premiere of Ghostbusters. He went and met the cast, Paul Feig, all of them so many times because he's part of the Silicon Valley Ghostbusters, I think it's called, or San Jose Ghostbusters, something like that.
Oh, there's like a group.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's pretty
cool.
But that's what I would do if I was going to cosplay one of those. But I'd prefer a Judge.
Judge would be sweet.
Definitely.
Just because you get to wear all that armor and stuff and that mask.
And the Lawgiver. Oh, I have one of those helmets, actually.
Oh, cool. So you're like halfway there.
Nah, it's shitty. No, the guy made it for me. He was a buddy of mine, and he was getting into it, and he made a pretty cool one, and he's like, I'll make you one for this much. So I sent him the money. It was kind of shitty, so he sent me my money back, but I kept the helmet. I could ghetto rig it pretty much to like make it wearable for pictures. Yeah. But if I were going to cosplay for real, I would have to get a better quality helmet, and they're definitely out there. I've seen them.
Oh, sure.
Anyway, onward to the books we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I was gonna jump to the main topic for some reason and skip all that. What's the first book?
Let's talk about Black Hammer #2 because we already talked about Black Hammer.
Did we? I thought we might have.
Yeah, we talked about Black Hammer. We introduced, Abraham, Barbalian, Walkie Talkie, Golden Girl, Colonel Weird, and the Black Hammer, even though we haven't seen him yet.
Okay, so let's see. So, can you give us like a paragraph of the story so far and why they are where they are, even though they don't really know?
Okay, so they don't really know where they are. This is a motley crew of Golden Age style superheroes. The story is penned by Jeff Lemire. We know him from Moon Knight and some other shit that escapes me at the moment. Anyways, these guys are living on a farm. And they are all sorts of different kind of characters with different personalities and inner conflicts. Issue 2 pretty much focuses on Gail, who's known as Golden Gail.
Well, it's important to note that they're posing as a family.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's a good point. And they're trying to carry out like all of the status quo, I guess, for having a family, you know.
Right.
Abe is the grandpa and
Gail's like the granddaughter.
She is, and then what's her name? Madame Dragonfly is supposed to be like
the mom. Right?
The mom, but she's like estranged, I guess, kind of.
Yeah, she doesn't really hang out with them or something. There's like some bad blood there for some reason.
There's some weird shit going on there. But issue 2 pretty much focuses on Gail.
Right.
And like how you get kind of an origin story between it's kind of like flashbacks, really.
It bounces between the two.
Yeah. You learn that she got her powers from a wizard called Zamfrim the Wizard.
Right.
By saying his name. He had seen a prophecy that said like the chosen one would say his name and then inherit his powers so that he was no longer trapped on the earth.
Right.
So, here's Gail, who's like a 55-year-old woman trapped in a child's body going to like 5th grade, smelling like gin.
Well, it's important to note that when Gail met the wizard, she was 9, and that's when she absorbed the power.
Right.
So she lives her whole life, and every time she wants to transform into the superhero, she says his name, but she's transformed back into the 9-year-old girl with the power. Mm-hmm. So you have this old lady, this middle-aged lady, just saying this wizard's name to become this 9-year-old girl. And her shtick right now is that they're trapped on this farm and in this little town, and that's the only 2 places they can go. Every time they try to break the boundary of the farm or the town, something bad happens. We don't know what, but they mentioned it once, like, well, you know what happened last time. Somebody tried to leave.
Right, and that was Walkie Talkie and...
Who's one of my favorite characters. Him and the crazy old colonel.
I like both of them as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
Gail gets in trouble in this issue for smoking, and...
Well, because she has to go to school and she hates it. Because she's 55, she doesn't want to go to fucking school.
Especially like 4th fucking grade or whatever it is. And
right.
Abe goes and bails her out.
She's all drunk on gin and stuff.
And she starts talking about how the school administrator starts talking about how Abe is unfit as a parent, and maybe they need to call Child Protective Services, and then fucking Madame Dragonfly rolls in and fucking uses some kind of mind control on the lady and the lady's like, yes, he's such a great, Gail's such a great student, blah, 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 or something like that.
So Gail's mad because, not only because she's trapped in this 9-year-old girl's body, but she says the wizard's name and her powers don't work anymore.
Which is a huge issue, obviously.
Right. So now she's stuck in the little girl's body and she has no powers. So she's like, fuck this.
Meanwhile, wasn't it Barbell?
Barbalian?
Barbalian and Walkie Talkie are firing off another probe.
Yeah, so Walkie Talkie's this really cool looking old school robot with like a glass dome head and stuff.
Awesome, yeah. And he's like an engineer.
Right. And he keeps building these probes to figure out why the hell they're trapped there and where they are and what period of time even. I mean, they just don't know anything.
And they keep like burning up or something before they even... Again, every time they try to breach the town.
Right.
But
so that was probe number 6, and then the next will be probe number 7, probably.
And that's pretty much where the story wraps up with... But on the last panel, I think we see the probe breaching the atmosphere, right?
I couldn't quite tell what the hell was going on. It looked like it was something coming towards Earth, not away from it.
Well, see, I wasn't sure about that either, but if you...
Oh, wait, yeah, no, because it's like the probe seems to just appear, right?
Okay, so look at that, and then go back to when they were launching it. I'm pretty sure it's the same type of probe.
I'm sure it is. It looks the same.
Yeah, so that's their probe. I think that's pretty cool.
So I guess that's like some foreshadowing that maybe they're in like another dimension or something?
I don't know, or maybe they're going to find out because he was finally able to launch a probe that didn't get destroyed.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks really cool, though. I don't know what they're going to do with that. There's a lot of loose ends here and stuff that's not quite explained, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
One of the cool parts that I wanted to mention was during one of Gail's flashbacks, excuse me, she's fighting a villain, Dr. Sherlock Frankenstein.
Uh-huh.
And I just thought that was an interesting mashup of names.
That's a good one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I really like this book, Black Hammer. I initially passed on it, and I actually picked it up the week after it came out when I was at Gabby's poking around. And Gabby was like, well, if you like Jeff Lemire, you might like it. And I kind of fell in love with the first issue, and I really liked the second issue. I know you said you were not sure where you stood with it, but for me, it's a definite. I definitely really enjoy it.
One thing that bugged me was in the last panel of the first issue. It's Black Hammer's like daughter, and she's like an investigative journalist or something.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, I believe that they're still out there somewhere, and no matter what, I'm going to find them. And then they don't touch on that once in number 2.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. That's a good point.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, lots of great stories require a lot of lead up, so it's fine.
I'm enjoying it though. Can't wait for issue 3.
Let's move on to the next book.
Let's talk about Predator versus Judge Dredd versus Aliens.
So this is like a mashup of all your favorites, right?
Yes. The only thing it's missing is Jack Burton.
Right.
We need Jack Burton versus Predator versus Judge Dredd versus Aliens. Unfortunately, I don't think Jack Burton comes out in this one.
I don't think so. go ahead and just tell us
talked about
what's
the first
happening.
one.
I don't think we did. I think we passed on it because we
Really?
had so many books to talk about last time,
Oh crap! Okay.
and we passed on it.
So I'm trying to think because I didn't bring the first issue with me.
Oh, I did. Okay. So,
Okay.
the first issue, we might have talked about it.
I'm like 90% sure we did.
All right. Well, I'll just give a quick summary. Predator gets captured by some
Crazy scientist.
some crazy scientists, like creations, right? It's like the Isle of Dr. Moreau feel.
Uh-huh.
And he has these things he's created, and they capture Predator in the forest, and then the judges come, and they're raiding some bar, I guess, looking for an Archbishop emoji, who's like a cheese ball, does like smiley faces and a bunch of internet lingo like LOL and
raffle and shit
like that. And the judges bust some skulls in there, and then they take off into the woods to pursue the Archbishop emoji, and that's the same woods that the Predator was captured in, where this evil doctor is doing his experiments. And that's pretty much where it ends off. There's a group of Predators that came down to rescue their guy, and then issue 2 starts.
So then issue 2, what we find out is that the judges take down Archbishop emoji, and they're getting ready to deliver sentencing and all that, and they do that, and then they get attacked by the same, like, they're like bipedal primate.
Oh, they gave them a name here. They called them hybrids, and then they called them Animans.
Oh. So but for anybody trying to picture it, they're these bipedal, like, primates. Humanoid primates, right?
Right, so it's like a fucking reindeer that walks on 2 legs and wears clothes and
right, and like
shit like that. Like
fucking
wolf.
smokes Marlboro Reds and shit like that.
And there's like there's the reindeer, then there's a wolf guy,
and there's a fucking like baboon, right?
Yeah, there's like an ape guy who's like smokes Camel non-filters, just crazy.
He vapes.
Fucking yeah, he vapes Lucky Strikes. He just wraps them in there.
Have you seen that Star Wars meme where, from The Force Awakens, when it says, when the Hosnian system is getting destroyed, but vape is life, and it shows like everybody all like Han and everybody all like looking up, and then behind him you see this guy like this alien just standing there like vaping on this like giant hookah.
No, I haven't seen that.
I'll have to send it to you. It's fucking pretty funny. Anyway, so the judges get overtaken by these primates and taken back to the scientist's place. They're all knocked out.
Whose name is Dr. Ryan Stott.
That's correct. The Predators show up, and they're kind of like trying to figure out what's going on, and they pretty much ascertained that the Predator was taken down, or the judges were taken down by the same guys that took down the Predator, their buddy.
And that was a really cool mechanic that they used in this issue, because it starts off with the Predators at like the scene of the judges fight with the doctor's Animans or whatever.
You're right.
And the Predators are there, and there's like these snippets of narration where they're like deducing what happened, and that continues, so it switches between the Predators figuring out what happened and it actually happening. And it was kind of a cool mechanic to see that Predator Sherlock Holmes going on.
Yeah, I thought so too. It kind of gives the character a little more depth, shows that they can use reasoning and I guess those other kind of investigative skills that you expect from humans. Whereas in like the movies and other stuff, the Predator really didn't show that much intelligence outside of.
Well, they're like expert trackers and hunters, right, or something like that.
Right, but they didn't show like a ton of that sort of investigative.
Right, they weren't like
shit.
Rummaging through scat and like tasting it and being like, ooh.
He's going 37 degrees south by southwest.
And he had fucking blueberry pie for breakfast.
Right. So the judges wake up and they realize they're locked in, and that this motherfucking scientist is doing like DNA splicing on people.
Yeah.
We're talking Xenos and Predators and humans and Xenos and...
Xenos are the aliens, right?
They are, yes.
Okay.
That's the Xenomorph is the full name. Have you seen Aliens?
Yeah.
Have you seen Alien?
Yes,
Okay.
I think so. I've seen a lot of alien movies. I don't know which
checking.
one's which.
All right. Yeah, so, we lead off with like we finish off with some pretty gnarly scientific experiments going down on a couple of the judges, and
specifically one of the judges gets injected with the xenomorph
semen.
Embryo, I guess, yeah. Or I don't know.
All the Xeno semen.
The stuff that makes it incubate inside and then explode out,
And then the final panel shows Dredd, I think.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of bad motherfuckers coming around the corner for him. You got pretty pissed off looking Xeno.
You got Judge Dredd, and he's like strapped to the table, right? He can't get out. And then the Predators have come to the base, so the doctor and all his little goons have like gone to take care of him.
Right.
But Dredd is left inside to fight his now morphed judge partner, which is now part alien or whatever.
Right.
But then the captured Predator, they turned him into one as well.
Right.
But with that one, they put the thing on his face. I don't know what that is.
And now, their shit's getting pretty gnarly.
So Judge Dredd, nowhere to go, has to fight two alien hybrids. One is an alien hybrid fucking predator.
The other is a
judge.
A judge hybrid.
Yeah.
So Predator versus Dredd versus Aliens. Pretty fun book. You're not getting anything compelling story-wise, but I'm having a good time with it.
The Captain Emoji stuff really turned me off because it was like reading fucking YouTube comments. It was just kind of retarded, but whatever.
I know.
They had to have some reason for the judges to go into the woods.
But you know what? That's Dredd, man. Like, if you read some of the old Dredd comics, they had some fucking stupid
It's
villains.
just cheese.
Yeah, cheese dick fucking villains.
Oh, fucking smegma villains. Ew.
So, that pretty much was all. Those were pretty much the books we wanted to cover today, right?
Yep, I think so. Cool.
Now,
So,
main topic?
Yeah, let's do that. Just look at the notes here. Yeah, we're good. Well, let's talk about our main feature.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for our program's main feature, made possible by...
This main feature is made possible by that talking dog that always says roll that beautiful beam footage. It's always like an old guy who's like, dog. He's like, he's not taught saying anything.
It's the same dude.
Is it every time?
Yeah, every time. Jay Bush, I think, is his name.
Is it for Bush's Baked Beans?
It
is that the commercial?
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's good stuff.
It is good stuff for sure.
So, buying comics online, we touched on it before. And I didn't buy any comics online until this year, earlier in January, like when I really started reading stuff again. So, firsthand, I experienced a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about, and the, I don't want to say anxiety, but the hesitation to do it. Because in the comic store, there's somebody there, you can hold them accountable, you can say, hey, do you have this? This looks like shit. Do you have something better? But online, it's like, buy it, and you pray.
Pretty much. Do you want to go ahead and lead us on, I guess, the subtopics? Because I have a list of all my experiences, but I don't have them in any particular order.
Yeah, sure. Let's just start with eBay, because that's going to be the most common.
Okay.
So, I bought tons of comics on eBay. I've never bought any trades on eBay, though. And I'm sure you have bought trades on eBay, probably, right?
I have tons of trades.
Okay, so I've never bought any trades. I'll just talk about floppies. When I was trying to complete the Hellstorm Prince of Lies run, which is from like the mid-90s or so, there was no getting the issues anywhere except online. None of my local shops had anything. So I went online and I Googled it, or eBayed it, and I started looking around at the prices, and I realized, wow, buying comics online is dirt cheap. Like, if you're looking for something that no one really cares about. So I was able to buy like a couple lots just to cover like issues like 12 through 17 for like 99 cents an issue. And I didn't know what to expect or what condition they would come in, but I really wanted to complete the set, so I figured it's not a big investment to spend $10 and see what happens. And I was pleasantly surprised for my first experience. So when you buy comics on eBay, do you, like, at first I was looking for shops, right? Because a lot of shops have inventory online. I thought maybe that made them more reputable, and if they had a big name and tons of good feedback, that I should buy from them. Later I would realize that wasn't such a huge factor and you could buy from individuals. But what do you look for specifically in the vendor?
So I look at their feedback. I look for a history of selling comic books and what the reasonably the last handful of sales have said about usually shipping is my big thing. And it's not a science. It's not perfect every time. If I have to dig for it, like I go onto your thing and you've never sold any comics, I'm going to keep moving. I don't really care about the deal because I've had bad experiences with people who are like, oh, I don't ship comics for a living. Well, fuck you then. Stop selling comics online.
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. People who buy comic books want them to be in good condition. If you're shipping something flimsy, it needs to be reinforced as much as possible.
Absolutely.
And comics, it's really easy to do cheaply. 2 pieces of cardboard, a bag and board for the book. That's it.
Okay, and yeah, folks, when you cut that piece of cardboard, cut it so it overlaps or hangs over the edges of the board. Tape the pieces of cardboard together so you're sandwiching the books between the cardboard. It's not rocket science.
Oh yeah, it certainly needs to be bigger than the book. Because that shit will fold over and be disgusting.
The reason I said that is because I've seen people send cardboard cut to fit the fucking board.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, ugh.
Because then they put tape over it and it sticks to everything.
Yep.
So it's a bitch. But I've had some excellently packed comic books from eBay. I've only had one bad experience.
Okay.
From a guy who shipped it in a floppy envelope. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Like Swamp Thing number 20.
There you go. I want to talk about my notable eBay purchases I've got. Recently, I got the entire Olympus Heights run, and I've been reading through that. I think I have 2 issues left.
Nice.
At your recommendation a few shows ago. And that actually came one of the most nicely packaged ones I've got so far. It was like just a brick, just solid. It was great. And I've also got almost the entire Death of Superman run off of eBay, and that came in a giant, not giant, but like a nice box that they put it in, and Grizzly Shark #1 and 4 Kids.
Nice.
What would you say is the most memorable eBay comic book purchase you've made?
Most memorable eBay comic. Well, I was pretty happy with this giant lot of the new 52 Swamp Thing that I picked up on eBay not that long ago. I paid $8, plus I think $4 shipping, and I got issues 1 through 13 of a new 52.
Okay.
I thought that was a pretty good deal with shipping. It worked out to be about $1 an issue. I consider that a win.
I would say so.
I could have picked up the trade, sure, but I like the floppies, so I've been slowly working through that. And since I hadn't read the new 52 Swamp Thing, it was pretty good. And if you don't realize, that's Scott Snyder, so.
Right. And he's doing Batman stuff right now.
He is.
Is he doing All-Star? That's his last one, right?
Yeah, and he's doing the Sheriff of Babylon also.
I've heard people talk about that.
I think that's,
people seem to like it. I haven't checked it out, though.
The trade is on my Amazon wish list, but I haven't picked it up yet.
2 more things I want to mention about eBay. The first is that the sellers are accessible, right? So you can actually engage in a dialogue with them before you purchase to ask things, just like you would in a comic book shop.
Sure.
You don't really get that with a big box store or something like that.
However, you are at the mercy of their timeliness for responses.
That's true.
A couple of things I want. You talked about memorable experiences. Well, that goes 2 ways. My good experience was Swamp Thing. My bad experience was also Swamp Thing. The Saga of Swamp Thing #20, famous issue because that's the first issue that Alan Moore wrote, which is arguably the best run of Swamp Thing. I bought it. It was in near mint quality. Very nice picture. When it showed up, it was fucking mangled because this ass clown of a seller left it or put it in a bag, no board, and then sandwiched it between two soft envelopes, small envelopes, and threw it in a bigger soft envelope. It was practically rolled up like a magazine when it showed up at my house.
Oh, that
I
sucks,
could have roundhouse kicked him in the fucking face.
That's horrible.
Luckily, I didn't pay a ton of money for it, but I paid more for it than I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still. What
was your budget on that? $20 or something like that.
Yeah, $20. So I think I spent 17 on it.
Okay. Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah, that guy can suck a dick. If you're out there listening.
I would say my coolest eBay experience was actually from a blind comic book lot that I got once. And this guy was like, he had this giant collection. Well, this is what he says anyway. And he just rummaged through it and pick you out 25 comic books. But what he did differently is he would ask you who your favorite superhero was so that you got something notable. So he's like, hey, who's your favorite hero? And I was like, I'm really into the Son of Satan right now. And he's like, dude, I got you, fam. And like... shit showed up at my house, and he had given me a first print run of the Son of Satan #1 from 1975.
Oh, that's fucking sick.
And it was like one of my Grail issues, and I was like, dude, that is so awesome.
Is that guy still selling shit?
I think so. He only did it for like a short... I mean, he might still be doing it, but it was like all he was doing. It was like awesome. his little eBay intro or whatever to try to trim down his collection.
That's cool.
The only other thing I wanted to mention about eBay is shipping locations. Sometimes when I'm searching for a book and it's not from a big place, I will try to see if the seller is shipping it from the West Coast, because that's where I am.
I agree with that.
The less opportunity it has in shipping to get damaged is great, because a lot of comic book sellers I've seen are on the East Coast, especially the bigger shops.
Agreed, which we're going to talk about in a second here.
Okay, so why don't you move on to the next vendor here?
I want to talk about Midtown Comics.
Okay.
Now, here's a caveat that we didn't say. We're not getting any sort of endorsements from any of these folks. These are just our experiences, good and bad. But, you can hit us up if you are interested in some sort of advertising. We're available.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
DDM Comics at gmail.com.
We would love to replace that bean footage with some paid sponsorship advertisements.
Exactly. Midtown Comics. They're over in New York City. Huge big box comic shop. You go on their website, you can find anything you want, and probably about 5 or 6 different conditions. Most issues offer a drop down to choose what condition you want it in. Certain issues you'll pay more depending on the condition. You can find almost any variants you want at Midtown. And when you get a package from Midtown, those things are fucking locked up like Fort Knox. They're like
they use the hard cardboard.
They do
envelopes, right? Okay.
And then everything is like taped like fucking tight, and the books are in there. They're not moving. You get them out, you pull them out, and they come out in a nice Midtown Comics brown paper bag, and with your receipt in there and everything. And shipping is pretty reasonable. That's one thing I really like about them is they don't rip you off for shipping. They package your books well every single time. I had never ordered from Midtown Comics until I was looking for Renato Jones, the 1%, after you had been raving about it. And I've had nothing but good experiences with them ever since. And I probably ordered from them 5 or 6 times.
One thing that's cool about Midtown, and I think it's in Marvel books, they always have promo codes, like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's in it's in Marvel books, and it's like, and they're always different. It's always for something like that's useful and relevant. It's like, type in this Deadpool one to get like 20% off all Deadpool books.
Right, it's fucking neat.
Right. And one thing that's cool about them that you touched on is you can pay for the different grades of book. And also, I don't think they really mark up their variants. Some people fucking gouge you on variants.
They do. I think that there are certain variants that are a little more expensive, but I've never seen variants on Midtown that I was like, oh my god, what a fucking racket.
Right. I've never bought from them, but you have a bunch, so that's great.
Yeah.
So you'd recommend them?
I would.
Cool.
If Gabby can't get me what I need or whatever, I always go to Midtown.
Okay. So let's move on to
Amazon?
Sure, Amazon. So I've never ordered floppies off Amazon because Amazon has turned into this giant marketplace where they have like all sorts of vendors, but they're not as accessible as eBay, and it's confusing. No. It's confusing, and you don't know who you're buying from almost half the time.
I agree.
So I took a gamble and I bought some trades from there. I think Amazon was the seller. I bought Preacher Book 1 and The Dark Knight Returns, and they shipped okay. Like I think they were in a cardboard sleeve together. Like they were shipping books, like they knew what they were doing. But the thing that sucked was that my Preacher had a really bent corner. Like the front cover was like almost folded in half at the corner. Like the guy who pulled it from the shelf fucking picked it up and looked at it. Like you could tell that somebody had tried to read it before. And that bugged me to death. So
my experiences with Amazon and trades are similar. I can tell you this, that if you order a trade or two together, they will come in a cardboard padded envelope.
Yeah.
If you order them in a big order with some other stuff, they will throw those motherfuckers loose in the box, and they will show up in all sorts of crazy conditions.
And
I don't really.
Do they use the bagged air? They use the bagged air sometimes.
Yeah, but those things slide under the bagged air, and
just knock around with whatever's in there.
Right. I don't want my stuff to fucking show up to my house beat up because I work hard for my money, but I don't get as upset about trades because I'm not that good to trades. I'll roll that motherfucker up and stick it in my back pocket when I'm walking between the car and the house. It's not a floppy comic. I'll fucking take it to the toilet with me. I'll take it camping with me. I don't care about trades. I don't buy them to fucking baby them. But there are some that if I bought them from Amazon, I would expect them to show up in good condition. These are those hardback trades. These are those special edition things where they need to fucking treat them with a little bit more care. So overall,
I always try to get
Amazon
hardbacks.
is okay, but you can probably get them packaged better from an Amazon seller, or I'm certain there's somebody better at packaging trades out there than Amazon. Like, what was that, cheaptrades.com or something like that? $8 trades, or I don't know.
There's a whole bunch of those out there right now.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so that's my thoughts on Amazon.
I bought from Walmart as well. Pretty much the same story. I got the Death of the Family and the Joker Death of the Family. These were hardcovers, and these just arrived in a regular style box with some bagged air. They weren't really packaged well, and the Death of the Family, like the corner, got smashed in the box. So, I mean, Walmart has some great deals on that sort of thing, and you can get shit dirt cheap from them, especially books and stuff. But if you don't have that mentality like you, where it's like, well, I don't really give a shit about trades, then I would probably avoid that.
Well, no, but was Death of the Family, was that a hardback, you said?
Yeah, they were both hardbacks.
Yeah,
so
see,
I was a little ass-hurt about that.
Fucked up, yeah. But a floppy trade, I don't care about.
Yeah.
Like, I just got The Vision and Swamp Thing from Amazon the other day.
Oh, did they come? Cool.
Yeah, they did. I'll talk about that later.
Sure.
Comic Bento Box.
You did this for a month.
2 months. 2 months. Yes, I did. If you're not familiar with Comic Bento Box, it's kind of like Nerd Crate, Geek Crate.
Loot Crate.
That's it. Nerd.
Yeah. There's a crate for everything.
I was gonna say Nerd Box, and I was like, that's not it.
I'm sure there is one anyway.
Loot Crate. It's one of those subscription boxes.
Yeah.
But they specialize in trade paperbacks. It's $25 a month, including shipping, which is a pretty good price considering you, in my experience, get 4 trades. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, though. every month is a theme, and like one of the trades is good per box, and the rest are like Valiant or something you've never heard of. The first box I thought was okay. It came with like a Fantastic Four hardback, a couple of interesting Valiant books. One of them was okay. The other one was excuse me. But I feel like if you shopped around, if you wanted to spend $25 a month on trades, you could shop around, and you might not get 4 books, but you might get 2 or 3 books that you really like, especially if you go to like one of those cheaper trade paperback, the trade websites or whatever, not Amazon, but like, the places we were just referencing. I think that Comic Bento is cool if you're looking for a variety and you don't want to think about it, or maybe you're not as picky as I am, because I am notoriously picky. But in my experience, each box came with a hardcover trade, which was nice. The first one came with a hardcover Fantastic Four, and I can't remember what the second one came with.
I think it came with a Time Walker.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it was a hardback.
I don't either, but it did come with a Time Walker. I was hanging on to that for you in case you wanted it.
Sweet, I do. For discounted trades, there's one website I was thinking of. I just thought of it. It's the DCB Service.com.
Oh.
And they're like, it's a discount comic book service thing.
Oh.
And they're part of the in-stock trades thing, I think. And they just do like massive discounts. Like, you can get trades for like half off all day.
Oh, that's sick.
Of what you're looking for. So, you said you just got the Vision, right?
I did. I got the Vision and the Alan Moore Swamp Thing.
How much did you pay for that Vision? Is it Volume 1?
I did get Volume 1. I paid $11 and change.
Oh, okay. So the discount comic book one has it for $9.89.
What?
Yeah.
Damn, that's sick.
It's so good, like all the stuff you can get from here.
Wow, that's awesome. I'll check that place out.
And the only other one, did you want to say anything else?
No.
Okay. The only other one I've ordered from is Barnes & Noble, and I got the Lock and Key boxed set from Joe Hill, who's Stephen King's kid. And it came, all the floppy trades were all in the box. There's like 5 of them, and it's in like a slipcase, you get with like collector's edition shit.
Yeah, it looks pretty nice.
And it's super solid, and it arrived great, pristine, nice. And I think the difference was that Barnes & Noble, they're a bookseller, and they know what's up when they're shipping it.
Right.
So,
one thing I wanted to point out about eBay, going back real quick, is pay attention to shipping costs, folks. I know that we like the best price for shipping, but when we're talking about shipping comic books, I feel like the guy that's charging you $1 to ship 10 comic books, probably not packaging as well as the guy who's charging you maybe $3 or $4 to ship comic books. So just be cognizant of shipping prices. The best price is not always the best price when it comes to paying for shipping with things like comics.
And I think the average price to ship just one comic book, and that will usually go in for like a lot of like up to 5, is like $3.
And I think that's about the going rate. So you want to talk about the modern age of comics now?
Yeah. I think that's all we had to say about buying it online.
Yeah, I think so.
So I would say, if I was a person looking to buy comics today and I had never done it, it sounds like just go to Midtown.
I would say that if you don't have a local comic shop and you want a one-stop shop to satisfy all your comic needs, I would agree that Midtown is the place to go.
And if you're experienced with eBay.
Yep, there are deals to be had on eBay.
Yeah. All right, so the modern age. Let's not spend a ton of time.
No, I want to spend like 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
No.
Okay, so the modern age of comic books starts after what was the last one? Still Bronze Age? Bronze. So that's like the late 80s.
85-ish is
85-ish.
Generally regarded as the dawn of the modern age of comics.
That was like Dark Knight Returns and The Watchmen.
Definitely. That's like the rise of the anti-hero, really, was the modern age of comics.
And shit just got really dark, like, quickly.
Real dark. And it got real political. Not political in the sense that the president and things were constantly portrayed, but the stories they had a dark political tone. There was a lot of metaphorical writing, I guess, is where you write kind of like V for Vendetta and things like that, where they're obviously writing about the current.
They're not specifically writing about what's going on,
but they're writing about what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
They're just using their characters and stories to convey their message.
Exactly. Yep, that's their vessel.
You can really see it though. Like if you go back and read some of the older stuff from like the 80s, it's a lot of Excelsior and like caterwauling and stuff, and you almost have to regress your brain to that of a 10-year-old to enjoy those older books, just because it's not what you're used to today.
No, it's not. It lacks depth.
Right. But the stories were more packaged.
I
noticed that with my long box issue. Like, you can read a comic and they'll like take the time to give you some closure. Where today it's like fucking Hail Hydra, and you're like 3 issues later, like, what does that mean?
True. Yeah.
So let's talk about the industry, like the entities in the industry.
Okay.
About what was going on, like what started and all of that.
Well, so we saw several independents established within the modern age of comics. Probably the earliest being Dark Horse, which was established in '86. 1 year coming into the modern age.
And we should say that Black Hammer and Predator, Judge Dredd versus Aliens, those are both Dark Horse books.
They are. That's correct. But I would say that personally, Dark Horse gained most of its notoriety due to its Star Wars catalog in the 70s and 80s, which they were the publisher of Star Wars comic books exclusively.
Marvel does it now. They
do, yeah, because Marvel's owned by Disney and all that.
Oh, right.
And they all own that shit. But yeah, that was dark. Some great comic books came from Star Wars, and that's primarily what their bread and butter was for, I would say, easily the late 70s going into the 90s.
And if you have a huge property like that, you don't fucking need anything else.
No, you don't. That's kind of one of those, you could put Star Wars on a fucking turd and people will buy it.
Right.
And that's not literal, but I'm looking at things around me. I've got a tumbler, bed sheets, clothing. You put a Star Wars logo on any of those things and they'll walk out, they'll take themselves off the shelf.
What's cool about that though is that when you have a huge property like that and it's like your workhorse, you have all this capital to explore other things freely.
Exactly.
And grow your business from other ways without having to worry about tanking like crazy.
That's very true, because your principal money maker is, in that case, you don't have to work that hard to sell it.
Right. So another one. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
About Dark. I was gonna say Image.
And that's where I was going.
Oh, okay.
No, go ahead.
Image, 1992. We know Image. Some of their main early stuff was like Spawn, right?
Yep.
And then they are also responsible for Saga and Invincible, and The Walking Dead is probably their hugest one right now.
I would say that Walking Dead is, that's definitely. And so people are like, okay, Image Comics, what's special about that? Mm-hmm. Well, Rob Liefeld, who you might know from, gained his most fame writing New Mutants 98.
What's special about New Mutants 98?
That's the first appearance of Cable and Deadpool.
Oh, okay.
And him, Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, Eric Larson, some other guys left Marvel and started Image. Each of the artists had their own studio under the Image banner.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jim Lee's being, I think it was called Silver Storm.
Wildstorm,
yeah, that's it. I can't remember what Rob Liefeld's is, because he's a fucking...
I've got it right here. Extreme Studios.
There you go, okay.
Top Cow Productions for Mark Silvestri.
Yeah, and their biggest thing was, trying to creator-owned properties, which they don't operate by that principle anymore, as far as I understand.
One of my favorite comic books that no one really talks about was a Wildstorm book. It's Divine Right. It's a Max Faraday story, and I'll talk about it sometime. It's cool.
I don't like Jim Lee's art that much. He looks like he can't draw. Like, he looks like he's continuously teaching himself how to draw. And I don't draw any better, but fuck, man, I don't pretend to be an artist.
There's a caveat sometimes with open mic nights. It's like, don't learn to play the guitar on stage.
Exactly. Yep.
Let's see.
So that was arguably the biggest move of the modern age of comics, was all of those artists leaving Marvel to form Image Comics.
Well, then also laying the foundation for that specifically wasn't an indie movement, but showing that creators can own their work.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it kind of put this sense of empowerment into creators who otherwise had always worked for the man, being one of the big two. Mm-hmm. Some first appearances and key issues. I was thinking about those. Did you come up with any of those?
No, I made notable storylines.
Okay, so I'll talk about a couple of first appearances, key issues. The New Mutants '98, like I mentioned, first appearance of Deadpool and Cable,
which fucking got huge when the Deadpool movie came out.
Yeah, that movie was worth that book was worth jack shit.
Nobody gave a crap.
No, because of that movie, and as we know, Deadpool 2 is in development, and they're trying to find someone to play Cable, I guess.
Right.
Another notable key series is Preacher. Good old Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon. Many people hadn't heard of that prior to the show on AMC, but in typical, unfortunately now it's called hipster fashion, I've been reading Preacher since the 90s, and
before it was cool.
Yeah, way before it was cool. And then, of course, The Walking Dead.
Well, let me stop you for just a second. Garth Ennis wrote something before Preacher that made him famous in the community, right? The Boys? Mm-hmm. Am I right on that? Did you ever read that?
I didn't.
Okay. I was just curious
if
there was any information on it. I wanted to check it out, though.
Then we know Robert Kirkman and The Walking Dead is fucking crazy. I was also reading that before any of you fools ever heard of it. And I made a shitload of money selling issues 1 through 10.
Right.
But yeah, that's Robert Kirkman and Tony Moore. Or as he's known professionally, Colonel Tony Moore.
Really?
Yeah, because he's a Kentucky colonel.
Okay.
So he really took that and ran with it. He would expect you to call him Colonel, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is that how he would, like, sign books or whatever?
I don't know, but I'd like to find out, because I think that would be pretty interesting. You said you wanted to mention some key storylines.
Oh, yeah. So I went through and I thought that one of the biggest things about the modern age in which we're in right now is understanding how we got here, and how the industry usually does that is they establish all these giant crossover stories to make everything canon, right? So
kind of tie up loose ends in order to establish.
Right. So all these characters have all these fingers in the comic book world of their own storylines and their own books, but then they do these crossover things to tie everybody together. So from Marvel, we had the Infinity stuff, Gauntlet, War, Crusade. We had the Age of Ultron, which we saw was made into the movie there. We had the World War Hulk stuff, and we had Civil War, and Civil War was recent. The Death of Wolverine was really recent. Secret Wars, and now we're in Civil War 2. So each one of these things like established different canon for the Marvel universe.
Definitely.
And in DC, we had stuff like Crisis of Infinite Earths, War of the Gods, the Batman series Nightfall, pretty much a ton of series with the name Crisis in it, Infinite Crisis, and more Crisis. Some of the big Green Lantern ones were Blackest Night and Brightest Day. We had Flashpoint, which led to the New 52, and then inside the New 52, we had the Death of the Family. And I think Death in the Family was in the late 80s, which is where Joker kills Robin, Jason Todd. We had Convergence, and then the Dark Side War, which was garbage that everybody seemed to love. We had the Final Days of Superman, which was like a couple months ago, where Superman died again. And then we have Rebirth, which is now. And coming up in October or November, I can't even remember, Marvel is doing it all over again, just like DC kind of did with Rebirth. They're calling it Marvel Now, and they're relaunching a bunch of series. They're actually stopping all X-Men production to run one storyline called The Death of X. And one of the biggest parts of Marvel right now is the Inhuman versus X-Men thing, and the Terrigen mist that's covering the Earth.
Right.
As soon as and mutants are like allergic to that, they get sick. And
Is it
die
not
or whatever.
Terrigen?
I think it's Terrigen. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's what they're going to try to figure out with the Death of X. I don't know. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I don't really like reading X-Men, but I'll probably read that one.
I probably won't.
If we're being perfectly honest here, I ain't reading that shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's basically it for the modern age.
You named all those storylines.
Yeah.
Let me do some shout outs from the independent side, because that's always been my favorite side.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not going to talk about like establishing storylines. I just want to talk about some notable series like Chew,
right?
Saga.
Oh yeah.
Kick-Ass, V for Vendetta.
How many issues did that run for?
Which one?
V for Vendetta.
I don't have a clue. I've never seen anything other than trade format. Then there's some newer stuff like The Goon from Eric Powell that people love.
Of hillbilly fame, of
course. Well,
now.
Really? Oh yeah, now. Let's see. A series that I really liked that was pretty modern was Criminal Macabre, the Cal McDonald mystery, which was a Steve Niles book written early 2000s.
Okay.
Then of course 30 Days of Night. I think that's junk. That book is ass and a waste of time.
Why are you mentioning it then? Was it popular?
It is. It's very popular.
Okay.
And it was pretty much the book that launched IDW Publishing. That was their first major comic, and it made a ton of money, and then they made a movie that was fucking garbage.
I've seen the movie.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the book either.
It's a horror comic, right?
It is.
Okay.
But yeah, those are just some of the notable series that came out of the modern age.
I wanna ask you a question that will diverge us into some woods for a short time about horror comics.
Okay.
So whenever I encounter like super gory shit in comics, it's like mostly all imagery, right? It's like blood and guts and not much dialogue, maybe some screaming. So what do you think that horror comics lack depth of story?
I think that old horror comics were lacking of depth of story.
Yeah. Okay.
They were largely that gruesome, grotesque, and I feel like writers today realize that you need to give people more. People want more complex stories, more depth, and that's where you get books like Criminal Macabre and books like House of Penance for everybody who you get that more complex horror story with still the horrific elements as well as a usually dark, mysterious, complex.
I would even say The Walking Dead. I read the first, I think 3 or 4 trades of The Walking Dead when it first came out a while ago, like long ago. And I actually really enjoyed reading it. Like there was a lot there.
Yeah, Walking Dead was really good. I didn't get out of it because I stopped liking it. I just, by virtue of slowing down on reading comics or getting busy with life, I just fell way too far behind to ever get caught up again.
I wasn't suggesting that. I was just saying that it was
a
horror comic that was cool.
Yeah. No. I was just sharing my perspective because I really liked Walking Dead. I fell too far out of it, really.
So if you had to choose like a favorite horror comic that would grip somebody beyond the shock value, what would you suggest they try? I guess I'm asking personally for myself too, because I just haven't found one besides The Walking Dead that was like there's more to this than just people getting their faces chewed off.
Honestly, here, look at Criminal Macabre. It's not the best horror story ever, but it stands out as a more complex horror story.
And that's Steve Niles?
It is.
Criminal Macabre. A Kel McDonald mystery. That one?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so I think that's it for the modern age. We're in it, and we will continue to be in it. I don't even know what if they'll even add another age at this point.
But we're out of it. So deuces.
Okay. You want to move to the long box pull here?
Sure. The schlong box pull.
The schlong box.
That reminds me of when I was in like 8th grade. There was this dude that sat in front of my buddy who thought he was like this gangbanger. So he had this like white hat with long and Old English across it. And my buddy took it when he went to the bathroom and scrawled SCH in front of the long. And for like years, that guy like wanted to kick my buddy's ass because he wrote schlong on his gangster hat.
Did we go to the same middle school?
Mountain Creek?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We didn't know each other then, though.
I don't think so.
I didn't know you till you were a freshman.
Right. All right. So, do you have your book there?
Oh, yes.
Okay, cool. I'll go first.
That's good.
So my book, we're talking about the Son of Satan in the from the eBay buy, and so I decided to flip through my collection there and pull one out, and so I chose the Defenders from 1975. This is the Defenders 25, and it's a book that features Son of Satan. And the Defenders was an old school team that ran for a really long time, kind of like the Fantastic Four. But it had like the Hulk and Doctor Strange and Valkyrie, Daredevil, Luke Cage. All those people that are making a resurgence now were all kind of part of this old school team.
And I think Galactus, he's...
I don't know specifically, no. It may be.
I seem to remember something with him.
This issue specifically is kind of cool, and I didn't realize how cool it was until I started reading it again. It's the late 70s, so there's not as much, how do I say, castration of the media and what they can print these days. People didn't get all upset over things.
Right.
So Luke Cage today, he's a strong black guy. He lives in Harlem or whatever, and he's this pillar for the black community over there. In this book, he's like talks jive and stuff, and he's like, was we on our way to rescue the lady, you dig? And he's like, what if the Hulk and Daredevil can't cut it alone? And he just goes through all this stuff, and you have the Son of Satan being this like pristine, well-mannered, educated white guy who happens to be the Son of Satan, and then you have Luke Cage, this black guy, just talking jive the whole time.
It's funny.
And in this issue, Doctor Strange is captured by the Sons of the Serpent, who are basically this white supremacist group. And at one point, what do they say? They want to save the white race and like all this stuff. And there's just so much weird racism happening in this book. And at one point, this group of people like steps in to save Lady Valkyrie from being burned at the stake. And he's like, I've got no love for the N, and then they say N-I, and then they hyphen it and put the blacks. So he was about to drop the N-bomb.
Dang.
It was like, my note here says, this shit would never fly today. Hell, all the black characters gathered for Rhodey's funeral, and there was people talking about it.
That's crazy.
And one thing that's cool about the old books that we touched on earlier is the narrative actually explains what's going on.
It does.
Because a lot of times kids are reading this, right? And it's dealing with stuff they don't quite get.
Mm-hmm.
And so the comic book writer would, interject little things to tell you what's going on. And on one of the back panels here, it's there's this massive fight scene that says, "Yet fall it does, and quickly, before the combined might of the dynamic defenders." And then he's like, "But as you view this spectacular panoramic battle scene, keep in mind the most massive irony." And then it just goes on to explained some stuff about them fighting with the son of Satan, who drove. They also count among their number a man called Damien Hellstorm, the son of Satan, of the serpent that drove Adam and Eve from Eden. And it's just all these little nuggets of info. And of course, the ads are the best. Let's see here. There was some great stuff here where you could get an Evel Knievel official poster.
Nice.
You could buy, and there's this huge box for helium gas. It says, amaze your friends with your very own supply of helium.
Wow, just mail order that.
Just mail order some helium.
Jesus.
And what else was there? You could hypnotize people with any TV set. You could get a switchblade comb while they're still legal. Stuff like that.
While they're still legal, that's hilarious.
And there's only one other thing I wanted to mention, and it's when we were talking about closure. At the very last line is, material wealth may liberate man from some concerns, but, my friend, not from all. And he says, not if man also possesses the quality called a conscience. And
true.
Just like good messages for like younger people.
Yeah, like moral stuff.
Yeah, and you don't see that very much today.
No, definitely not.
Today it's all about how much they can push the moral boundary.
That's very true.
And not piss people off.
Yeah.
But with an older book like this, sometimes it's just refreshing to be like, yeah, this is kind of a pure form of what it was supposed to be about. It's not as interesting or, mind-blowing as the comics today.
No,
all right,
but it has its own.
I don't know what you call that, like a kind of a quaintness to it that's just comforting, I guess, like from when you were a kid.
Yeah, exactly. Comfort. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So it's my turn.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so as you know, I didn't have that much lead time because you were like,
sure.
You want to record this morning? And I was like, well, sure. So I didn't pick a book.
Okay.
I did, however, start reading the Vision trade.
Okay.
And I wanted to talk about that because
awesome.
I had little to no experience with that character, and this morning I read it to James, almost the first issue. And I thought it was pretty interesting because I don't know about that character, and it looks like the Vision has a family, and he's moved into this neighborhood, and he's met his neighbors who were fairly judgy. The husband called him a robot, while the wife was like, "Oh, we brought him some cookies. They seem like nice people. We need to make them feel welcome." And he's like, "I don't need to make these robots feel welcome, blah, blah, blah." The Vision's on the Avengers, so he invites the neighbors in and shows them all these cool trophies that he's acquired since he's been an Avenger. And then the neighbors have to leave because Vision's got to roll out to do some Avenger shit. And as they're walking off, you were talking about the narrator will kind of tell you what's going on in the older comics. Well, he does that in this case too, when he says,
"This is Tom King, right?"
It is Tom King, so it's quality writing, no doubt. Where was it?
So the Vision, I'm just gonna elaborate
a
bit on Vision's family. He's created a family for himself that's just like himself. So he's what do they call him? A synthezoid.
He is,
So he has a wife
and two kids,
two teenage kids, and they go to school, and they just try to lead this normal life in suburbia, except they're the fucking Visions.
Right. Oh, here's what it says. The narrator says, later near the end of the story, one of the Visions will set George and Nora's house on fire. George's last thought will be of Nora, how he found his true love and regrets little of what came after. Nora's last thought will be about the water vase of Zenla. She will wonder why it was empty. And I just love that. I love Tom King's writing, and I love just the flow of this story. I wanted to keep reading it, but by the time I looked up from it, it was like 9:25, and my wife was still mopping, and I was like, "Oh, I better go follow her around so that she."
I think by issue 2, you'll be. I think at the end of issue 2 is some pretty catastrophic shit where you're just like, "Holy crap!" And that's just how it goes with Tom King, though.
And what issue is that on the Vision right now?
They're about to finish their run on 12.
Okay.
So after issue 12, it's done. So I think issue 11 just came out, and there's only one left.
Got it. So another trade will be coming out soon.
Yeah, and that'll be it for this run of Tom King on the Vision. Everyone's super butthurt about it, but he's got bigger fish to fry right now.
Exactly. So that was my pull from the long box, the Vision trade.
That's an excellent pull. That covers 1 through 4, right?
1 through 6, actually.
6.
Yeah,
well, that's kind of big.
1 through 6.
Cool.
But I'm enjoying that. Looks like a great character.
You will enjoy the shit out of it.
Awesome.
And it's not even so much that you give a shit about Vision himself or his family, but Tom King just makes you care about what's happening. And at some point, as a dad, you're going to start to identify with the stuff that Vision's going through. And Tom King just, I don't know, man. He just tugs at your insides somehow.
He knows because he was in the fucking CIA.
That's right.
It's all a game. It's all a mind fuck. Tom King is mind fucking you.
Especially with Batman.
He is. He's got the bat dick and he's mind fucking you.
If you haven't read the latest Batwing, you're going to want to get in on that. That shit is crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So, I think we're about good to wrap up here pretty soon.
We're going to talk about that contest?
Yes. So, we're going to try our hands at a giveaway here. What we are giving away is the hardcover Batman Noir version of The Killing Joke.
The hardcore version of The Killing Joke.
And one thing to note is that if you don't have a United States address, please don't enter. I don't want to ship around the world. Plus, when you ship worldwide, you never quite know if your shit's going to get there.
Sorry, guys. Maybe another time.
Yeah. Maybe later. For this first one, only in the US, please. There's multiple ways to enter. You can go to the website and click the Enter the Giveaway link at the top. And running it through Rafflecopter, so you have to log in and you can do some stuff that'll give you points. You can follow us on Twitter, visit our Facebook page, you can retweet a tweet in there. You can actually send us a message about your favorite Batman comic book moment, and that will give you some points. And then at the end of the contest period, we're just going to run it till, I just said, till the end of the month, right?
Yeah.
So September 30th or whatever it is this month. And that's when it'll stop. And then once you've done those things, there's some stuff you can do multiple times, but once per day, retweet or send us another Batman scene or whatever. And this just gets you more points into the raffle drawing at the end. You can also go to the Facebook page, and there should be an Enter the Giveaway link on the side there. And you can also enter that way. So far, we have a whopping 0 entries.
So that means that
it was fucking ripe for the
Danny's going to get to look at that book, and none of you fuckers are going to win it.
And add it to my collection.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, join our contest. Go out there and like our Facebook page, share the tweets, do what you need to do to get those entries in. It's a cool book. It's free, so fuck.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's weird,
and it's not weird. We're not going to sell your name and shit like that. We're just trying to get some likes and some shares and get our name out there, and you get a book out of it. Help us help you, or help you help whatever.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And people get weird with contests, right? Some people get addicted to it, like gambling. If somebody latches onto this, they'll it'll be a thing in their daily planner, right? They're like, oh, I gotta send the tweet today.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Whatever. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We're trying it out. I think episode 10 should be ready to go by then, so that's when we'll announce the winner.
Sounds like a plan.
And I think that's it for us.
So find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Gmail, all at DDM Comics. You can also find us on Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, and at your local watering hole.
You think we've ever been talked about? At somebody's office, right? They were hanging around the water cooler. Just been hey, did you hear about that DDM Comics podcast?
No, but I think that we're on our way there. If it hasn't happened yet.
I think it might have happened one time because a friend told me about it. He's like, "Hey, can you send me a link to your podcast? I think I've got some listeners for you."
Oh,
so
no
maybe
shit.
once. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good shit.
So we got one. I really got to pee. So that's it. We'll talk to you guys next time. What's the next episode about?
The next episode is about...
Because we talked about that. I didn't
We did.
bring it up, though.
Hold on. Episode 9, we're going to talk about Devil's Due Publishing, which was founded in 1999, I believe.
And I know dick about this. Is there like one major title you can think of right now?
Hack Slash.
Hack Slash.
Which is fucking cool, so check out Hack Slash.
Right. So I'll be doing a bunch of research and we'll record that in the future. And that'll be it. Wow.
And we're also going to watch Catwoman in the future and have some laughs
that's right.
and some red vines. So tune in for Catwoman, red vines, and laughs sooner rather than later. Thanks for watching. Listening?
Or listening too.
Yeah, that too.
All right.
Later.
Bye. This Hack Slasher has like it's like naked chicks on the cover.